Listen here, darling. 42% of Americans do not have an emergency fund, and 59% cannot cover a $1,000 emergency expense. Meanwhile, I am sitting here in my silk Versace robe sipping champagne that costs more than most people make in a week. But honey, I was not always this glamorous. Before I mastered the art of marrying Mr. Millionaire and became the financial goddess you see today, I had to crawl my way out of being broke, just like you probably are right now. The difference between you and me? I learned the game early. While other girls were crying about their student loans, I was studying the blueprint that every rich person follows, but nobody talks about. And today, I am going to spill every single secret that transformed me from a basic girl with an empty bank account to the woman who considers a shopping spree at Tiffany Essential Self-Care. But first, let me tell you what I am not going to do. I am not going to tell you to start a casino gambling addiction thinking that is your ticket to wealth. 2 million American adults meet severe gambling criteria, and 86% of sports betting revenue comes from just 5% of players. Gambling is for people who still believe in fairy tales, darling. I only play games where I know I am going to win, and that game is called strategic wealth building. Building wealth involves earning, saving, investing, and protecting your assets while managing debt. Sounds boring, right? Wrong. This is the sexiest thing you will ever learn because money is the ultimate aphrodisiac. When you understand how to make money work for you instead of working for money, you become magnetic. Rich energy attracts rich people, and rich people attract opportunities. Here is what nobody told you about starting from zero. The biggest mistake broke people make is thinking they need to make more money first. No, sweetie. You need to fix your money mindset first. When I was struggling, paying loans to the bank that were being deducted directly from my pathetic salary, I thought, my problem was not having enough income. But the real problem was that I had zero financial structure. Most financial advisors recommend saving 3 to 6 months worth of expenses. But when you are living paycheck to paycheck, that sounds impossible. I get it. But here is the thing about impossible. It is just another word for you have not figured out the system yet. And the system, my dear, is surprisingly simple once you understand the hierarchy of wealth building. Think of your finances like a beautiful pyramid. At the bottom, you have your income flowing in like champagne at a yacht party. But if you have no structure to catch that champagne, it just spills everywhere and you end up with nothing but a sticky mess and a hangover. That spillage is your expenses eating up every single dollar before you can even think about building wealth. The first step is not about making more money, though we will get to that because I absolutely believe in making obscene amounts of money. The first step is creating a dam between your income and your expenses. The ideal is that your savings should be at least 20 to 30% of your income. I know what you are thinking. Duchess, I can barely save $20, let alone 20%. But stay with me, because I am about to show you exactly how to make this happen. Here is what I learned when I was broke that changed everything. Your expenses come in 2 flavors, fixed and variable. Fixed expenses are your rent, your insurance, your minimum debt payments, the things that stay the same every month. Variable expenses are where you are bleeding money without even realizing it. That daily Starbucks, those random Amazon purchases, the subscriptions you forgot you signed up for. This is where your wealth is disappearing. High-interest debt is a guaranteed drain on your financial resources. When I was paying interest on credit cards while trying to build wealth, it was like trying to fill a bathtub with the drain open. You can pour all the water you want, but you will never get ahead. So the first rule of wealth building is this. Eliminate high-interest debt like you are eliminating toxic people from your life. Be ruthless about it. But here is where it gets interesting. Once you stop the bleeding, you need to start building your foundation. Emergency funds prevent financial setbacks from derailing your long-term goals. Think of an emergency fund as your screw-you money. It is the money that lets you walk away from a bad job, a bad relationship, or a bad situation without having to compromise your standards. The median emergency fund balance is $10,000, but do not let that intimidate you. Start with $1,000. I know it sounds like nothing, but $1,000 is the difference between a crisis and an inconvenience. When your car breaks down and you have that money sitting in your account, you do not panic. You just fix it and move on with your fabulous life. Now, here is where most financial advice gets boring, but I am going to make it sexy. Automation is one of the simplest, yet most effective ways to build wealth. Set up automatic transfers like you are setting up automatic deliveries of your favorite champagne. Every time money hits your account, a portion goes directly to your emergency fund before you can spend it on something ridiculous. But let me be clear about something. While you are building this foundation, you also need to be working on increasing your income. The first step to attaining wealth for people who are not born into it is changing your mindset. Stop thinking like someone who is grateful for scraps and start thinking like someone who deserves abundance. Investing in yourself through education and self-improvement can open doors to new economic opportunities. This does not mean you need to go back to school and accumulate more debt. This means learning skills that pay. Learn sales, learn marketing, learn how to present yourself like the wealthy woman you are becoming. Rich people pay attention to other rich people, not because they are shallow, but because energy recognizes energy. Here is something fascinating about wealth building that nobody talks about. Diversifying across asset classes and leveraging tax-efficient investment vehicles are essential strategies. But before you can invest in stocks and real estate, you need to invest in looking and feeling like someone who belongs in those spaces. When I started going to country clubs to network, I made sure I looked like I belonged there. Fake it until you make it is not just a saying, it is a strategy. Speaking of strategy, let me tell you about the wealth-building hierarchy that rich people follow religiously. First, you fix your cash flow, so money is not disappearing into thin air. Second, you build your emergency fund so you have options instead of desperation. Third, you start investing in assets that appreciate over time. Assets should fatten your wallet while liabilities bleed it dry. But here is the part that gets really exciting. Once you have your foundation solid, compound growth allows you to benefit from market growth over time. Einstein called compound interest the eighth wonder of the world, and honey, he was not wrong. When your money starts making money, you officially join the ranks of people who understand how the wealthy stay wealthy. Tax planning becomes increasingly important as your income grows. This is where you start playing the same game as millionaires. You maximize contributions to tax-advantaged accounts, you understand tax loss harvesting, you make your money work as efficiently as possible. The government wants to take your money, but there are legal ways to keep more of what you earn. Now, let me address something important about gambling and get-rich-quick schemes. Problem gamblers lose a median of $16,750 per year. If you want to throw money away, at least buy a designer handbag. At least you will have something beautiful to show for it. The only casino I frequent is Monte Carlo, and even then, I play with money I can afford to lose while wearing a Dior gown. Because if you are going to lose money, you might as well lose it with style. The truth about building wealth from zero is that it requires discipline, strategy, and patience. 3 things that our instant gratification society does not want to hear. But consistency and discipline are the cornerstones of effective wealth building. Every wealthy person I know follows the same basic principles. They spend less than they earn, they invest the difference in appreciating assets, and they protect their wealth from taxes and inflation. Building wealth is not about what you do. In just 1 year, it is about sticking to a disciplined plan year after year. This is not a sprint, darling. This is a marathon run in designer shoes. You start with fixing your money management, you build your emergency fund, you eliminate debt, and then you start investing in your future self. The most important thing I learned is that wealth building is not just about the money. It is about becoming the type of person who attracts and keeps wealth. When you understand money, when you respect money, when you make smart decisions with money, you develop an energy that wealthy people recognize. And that recognition opens doors that you never even knew existed. If you want to stop being part of the statistic of Americans who cannot handle a financial emergency, if you want to learn how to build real wealth instead of playing financial dress-up with fake designer bags, then you need to subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell. I am going to teach you everything the rich know but never share. Leave me a comment if you enjoyed this video and tell me, Building Wealth Blueprint Unlocked. And make sure you check the first pinned comment where I have left links to products that every rich woman needs to elevate her lifestyle. Remember, wealth is not just about the destination. It is about becoming the type of woman who deserves to arrive there in style. Now stop making excuses and start building your empire, because poverty is a choice and you deserve so much better than that. Subscribe if you want to be rich, and I will see you in the next video where we are going to talk about the specific investments that have made me financially independent. Until then, stay glamorous and stay hungry for more.